Today we are going on a journey together and we're going to try and fix a pair of faulty Fat Shark Dominator HD goggles. Now these are the ones designed for the Avatar HD system, the same goggle as you bought from Caddx, basically the V1 Avatar goggle. Now, like every good journey, this story will contain joy, pain and suffering, but by the end of it, we will absolutely have learnt something. Now, I hope you stay for the whole video. It is a long one. Buckle up. There is a lot to see here. However, I hope you enjoy it. Anyway, let's get on with it and let's see what this is all about. Today, we are going to be taking a look at this. Now, for those of you who don't watch my live stream, this is a set of broken goggles that I bought from Hobby RC in the UK. One of the guys on my Discord server posted this as a bit of a deal, and I'll just hop to the desktop. There you can see what it was. It was a set of the Fat Shark Dominator HD goggles, customer return for £180. And what they say is this: customer return, sold for spares only, problem with range receiving signal, no returns. Now, what I thought was this would be a great video to see what the score is. And the reality here is this: I may have bought a complete lemon. I may have bought something that's been dropped, damaged. I don't know. I haven't opened it. We're going to go on this journey together. And that's what we're going to do next. Now, before I get into it, I just want to say a thank you to my Patreons, because I would not be able to waste your money without your support. Yeah, sorry about that. But if you would like to support us to keep doing things like this in the future, please do make sure you check it out. Anyway, so let's get on with it and let's go to the overhead. So I've removed the stickers on this so you guys don't have any address stuff or anything like that. I haven't even opened the box. I'm just going to slice it either side. Now, I am going to be a little careful a minute because there's probably an invoice in here. Yeah, it's right there. Okay, so what I'm just going to do a minute is I'm going to move it to the side. I'm going to grab the invoice out, toss it on the floor over there out the way, come back, and then we're done. So, hey, who wants a code for Hobby RC to get 5% off? It is there. Go for it. First person to use it wins. Let me know in the comments if you do. Let's see if it goes before the end of the live stream. As always with Hobby RC, we get the suite, which they always include, and then we get the goggles itself. Now, they're labelled customer return. It's quite hard to show you on this camera because I've got a lot of light in here. It's quite white. Box looks clean. I'll be honest. Box looks good. I wouldn't say the box has been particularly heavy handled. I know you're getting a bit of white out there. I may adjust the camera if we continue to get it. But yeah, I don't think that looks particularly bad. Inside looks clean. No really signs of issues. Okay, the case is open. I didn't do that. Looking around this, doesn't look to have been a lot of use on the case. Any mud or anything on the bottom? A couple of fingerprints, but nothing really. Are we ready? Let's go for the lid. Boom. Inside, we have the typical sheet. I'll get to the smell in a minute. It smells okay there so far. Goggles. Looking around externally very quickly. I'll be honest, so far, do look very new. Loose antenna connector there. I will give them a sniff in a minute for the usual. Right, if we look in the face mask area. So, all of this does look very clean. The lens protectors have been removed. There's no SD card in there. But I'll be honest, they do look as you would get them brand new. A bit of dust, but other than that, okay. Okay, interesting. Let's look in the box. We have the cleaning cloth. And we have the power cable. It's not really easy to see if it's got a lot of use. Does show a little bit of signs there, but yeah, Bit of stuff in the bottom of the case though. Not the cleanest, but okay. So, let's look around the goggles. That functions. That one is loose. That one is tight. That one is loose. That one is loose. Interesting. What I'm going to do is do the... It's not total burny. There's a bit of a funny smell though. Okay. Strange. Go back on the overhead. Power button works fine. Don't think the face mask has been used. Let's have a look if anyone's been in here. That's on. I don't know. Yeah. I wouldn't say anyone's been in it. Optically, can't see anything yet. Okay, so externally everything looks good. Joystick. Yeah, button. It does feel new. That does not feel like that's had a lot of use. Okay, so externally they're clean. Certainly not a complete crap show. So, the next thing to do is power them up. So let's pop them there. Let's do this. Bring the bench up a bit. Okay. Power them up on a LiPo. And let's see what happens. So they're turning on. Avatar uses the same receiver as the Goggles X. Not the same board. No, different board. Same chipset and everything. Borrowing the antennas off DJI. I'll put them all on just in case someone has been playing and has done something. Okay, all the antenna ports are very loose. Wow, look at that. All the antenna ports are very loose. I wonder if someone just returned it because of that. They are... That's not great. Okay, so let me tell you what I can see. Both displays are on. We have full menu system. Buttons and controls seem to work fine. Goggles have come with firmware version. Let's check. 34.40.15. Can't remember what that is. Displays look fine. Absolutely no issues at all. So, no issues with the displays, menu systems, controlling everything good. So, the next thing we need to do is power it up with a VTX. So, I'm going to get a VTX up and running, which I've got on the bench here. We're going to use a spare Moonlight that I've got. I'm going to have a fan working as well, right? Because a fan is always handy to keep this VTX cool, because it will try to set itself on fire fairly quickly. Shush. Okay. So, we need a tool to bind. We're going to need a set of tweezers. So, we're going to put the VTX in the binding mode. Actually, let's do the goggles first. I always do the goggles first. There we go. We're going to put the VTX into binding. Boom. VTX is connected. I heard the beeping stop. We have video. It's whinging about firmware versions. Interesting. It is showing a little bit of interference on one of the bars. Channel 3 isn't showing particularly great, but channel 1 is showing okay. I'd have to compare it to what my other goggles try it as outside. What we are going to do in a minute, though, is pull the cover off and have a look what's going on inside. Video's connected. Let me just see what settings I've got on the VTX just to make sure it's not going to burn itself out. Yeah, I got standby mode turned off. So, sorry, let me just adjust that. So far, everything looks okay. Yeah, I think what we're going to end up doing, we're going to end up tearing them apart, seeing if we can see anything, and if we can't, we'll end up having to take them for a fly, because at the moment, everything looks pretty good. And I am wondering if they were returned for that reason and someone just assumed there was a problem with the antennas when they were getting poor signal on the system. I think, look, based on everything so far, they've powered up, they've turned on, they've kicked in. Yeah, displays look good. I think really the next job is let's tear them down and see if there's anything going on the antennas, because at this point everything looks very good. Let's get the antennas off, and really working period of goggles. I had 2 Goggles X and a Dominator HD so far, with everything various issues from crashes, optics to pixels. What is interesting is just how loose these ports are. I wonder if the person returned them because of that. So, let's get the cover off and tear them down and have a look. Okay, so that cover is removed. Now, tearing these goggles down is actually quite a bit of a pain, because you need most of my screwdrivers don't fit, and I do have one I made for this, and now I got to find it. I end up cutting one down, and it's not working very well now, but it works enough. So, if we do a pull, ta-da! And the first thing I just want to see is all the antennas connected. Right, they are. So I can confirm all the antennas are connected on the board. Let me just come in a bit closer for you. That all looks good. Antenna ports look fine, so let's carefully get these off, and then I think we'll get the board out and have a look. So there you can see we're pulling it forward. So let's pop off the UFLs. That's one. Two. So that's the front 2, and we need to undo the fan connector. I'd hate to know how many times I've taken a set of these goggles apart. I think we'll have a look. That looks fine. That one looks fine. No issues there. Antenna ports are very loose, but that is about it. So this then just leaves the 2 display cables to undo, and then the 2 internals. So I'm just going to carefully pop the display connections off. There we go. You've also then got the ribbon cable that runs underneath there that you do need to be aware of as well. I do have a full teardown video on these goggles if you're interested in seeing it. We've got this power cable on the side here. That needs disconnecting. We've then got the cable. Now this cable is actually stuck all the way along the bottom of the board, and it's stuck on with this little cover here. This doesn't look touched. This doesn't look touched at all. I don't think anyone has been near this based on what I'm seeing so far. Yeah, no one has. Yeah, no one's been in here. No one has been in here at all. So I'm going to have to tear it down. We'll do a good check over, make sure everything looks correct, that there's no damage on the boards and all of that. And if we don't find anything, it'll be a flight test. And I'll be honest, if that's the case, I will put money the person returned them because of the loose UFLs. That would be not UFLs, the loose SMAs. Okay, PCB out. Ta-da! So for those who've not seen these goggles apart before, that is the main PCB. Taking a look around the bottom, what we're looking for is anything that looks like it's been on fire, basically. That there is just solder marks from around the soldering the battery down, because it takes a lot of heat to do that. Everything looks good on this side of the board. Not seeing anything there I'm particularly concerned about. This side of the board looks good. I think what we will do is continue. So we're going to need to undo that screw there and that screw there. Let me just reach over to my trusty iFixit toolkit. My iFixit toolkit is the perfect kit for this. Not sponsored by iFixit, bought by my wife, in fact. And I have to say, it is a phenomenal toolkit. So the 2 screws come out, and they then allow us to remove the duct cover. Let's come up closer. There we go. All the antenna UFLs look good. Okay. Next task, the metal can. Now there is going to be thermal compound under this, which is always going to be a bit challenging. Let me just get my blade to pop that up. What have I done with the Stanley blade? Just going to very carefully pop, pop. I don't need to say pop every time I do it. That would just be a little bit mad. There we go. Boo-boo. All looking good. Okay, so let's come in. Let's get you in nice and close. There we go. Okay, so let's have a wander around, shall we? Wait for the zoom to work properly. So, looking around this board, we have obviously our main chipset here. We have our 2 memory chips over here. So what you have, and just to explain this on the teardown, so we've got the Artisan main chipset. You've got 2 SRAM chipsets. There's no ROM on this. It uses just external SRAM. The ROM is actually on board. So it has 2 SRAM chipsets over there. There is a flash ROM over here. So you have got a WinBond flash ROM there. You don't have like on DJI where you have a combined SRAM and ROM chip. You have 2 SRAMs and then you have a WinBond at the back here, which is pretty standard stuff. You've then got the main chipset. You've then got the main RF transceivers, which is these 2 here. So this is your front-end RF transceivers. On the Avatar HD system, for those who don't know, you have 1 antenna that transmits and 3 antennas that receive. So, for instance, if we look along, you've got your 2 transceivers. You'll notice that there are 3 chips that are these little black ones. So U, and U. They are the receiver preamps. And then you've got 1 channel that transmits, and that's the one that has the Skyworks power amplifier on there. That is that one. So that feeds antenna channel 1, which is this one here. And then the other antenna channels are receive only. So 1 transmits, 3 receive. Technically it's 4 receive because that one can receive as well, but it transmits. So that's the main layout. You've then over here got a big voltage regulator IC, and then if we pop over onto the back, on the rear of it, you've got the display drivers, the 2 Toshiba chips. So they're the 2 display drivers for the OLEDs. That's what provides the image output. And obviously these goggles don't have official HDMI, so they have USB-C pass-through, and that's pretty much all there is. So yeah, looking at this so far, I see absolutely nothing wrong. Now, here will be a hint of just how much use this has had, because the viscosity of the thermal compound will tell me if this has been used a lot. No, it hasn't. So, after sort of 3 or 4 use cases, of plenty of heat. The thermal compound starts to harden up. It doesn't take long. It's surprising. However, that is still very liquid. And as a result of that, it gives me a good hint that this hasn't really been used. It's a way you can sort of tell the age. So, from a PCB point of view, everything looks good. I think it's a reassemble, and what we will do next then is do some spectrum analysis and check that the RF outputs behave as expected as well. We'll do that on the live stream. I'm really seeing no issues at all this. So, with regards to this thermal compound, do I want to move anything around? No, I'm fairly happy with that. I'm going to put it back as it was. It'll go back. It's not going to want much. I don't have any spares, but it'll goop back in when I get everything in the right places. So if I just push the heat shield back down in the right places, and then I'm just going to put a bit of pressure on top of the main IC, bit of pressure on the transceivers. The thermal compound that's there will goop back in. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so let's reassemble, and then we'll get it on the spectrum analyzer. I should have probably done the spectrum analyzer before tearing it down, if I'm honest. I never actually thought of that till about 20 seconds ago. But hey, it was worth having a look. Did it look like it if it had been on fire? I'm not convinced there's anything actually wrong with them. I now am leaning on the fact that I suspect someone bought these, right? I'm going to put a bet that someone bought these. The antenna connections were really loose. They didn't get great signal for some reason. Might be nothing to do, you know, with the goggles themselves. They might have tried Avatar and went, "Ooh, that's not working properly. I don't like that." Because, you know, it is complex if it's actually working properly. It's, you know, they might be used to DJI. They could be used to analog. They might not be used to digital. And then I think someone's gone, "Ooh, I don't like this. I don't like the quality," and they've returned them. And they've reported signal issues because the antenna connections are very loose. Those ports, if you only had one VTX camera, antenna, and goggles, it's really hard to troubleshoot anything. Yeah, exactly. Yes, I'm using the DJI antennas. I nicked them off my set of V2s because they were the closest to me. I couldn't be bothered. Prop tool works a little better than a spanner. Yeah, it can do, but I just have the spanner to hand. Cool. Okay, so let's power them up. What we're going to do, first of all, is get into them. And let's select a channel. So I don't want to be playback. So let's go to channel 1. Thank you. So channel 1 should be 5675. Now we know the goggles are transmitting. 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5. There it is. Yeah, there's that carrier. Give me a minute. Let me just get myself set up so you guys can see it. Hello, there it is. 5. What did I say I should be? 5675 to 5715. 5675 to 5715. 5675. 5700. We should be. There we go. There's the center. So just to give you an idea. So what we're going to do first of all is check which antenna port is transmitting. So I do have this on the right port. Now we're at -60. Yes, that all looks fine. So the first thing we want to do is make sure we know which port is transmitting. So no, no, no. Yee, the right one is doing what it should be doing a minute. Okay, that's good. We're then going to try and pop the goggles out of low power mode because they're currently in low power mode, 25 milliwatts. So what I'm going to do is get it to the right place a second. Let's just wait for it to kick in, and then you'll also see the video carrier appear on the band in a minute when everything connects. What we're going to see... Okay. Standby mode on. Standby mode off. So what you're seeing there with that increased RF output is the RF power changer. And you're actually seeing, can you see that bit of a carrier below? That carrier below is the video carrier. Currently, let me just change the power setting to something a little bit more, let's just say, noticeable. Okay, is the term I'll use. Noticeable is the term I'm going to use. So now's their carrier. If we... Boom. That's the goggles at full RF power. And now you can actually see the video carrier appearing below it. So what you're actually seeing here is this is the goggles carrier. This one here. And this is the video carrier appearing below, because it has an increased RF output. And then if I turn standby mode back on, yeah. Okay, so RF output power is working. I've got no concerns there. Really, what I'm going to have to do next is take it out for a fly and a test. And then for the actual video element of this, I'll be coming back and telling you the outcome of it.
24 hours later.
Now, whilst all of that was recorded live, this is back in the studio recording, and I can report that after testing, I have found a problem. On the bench here, everything looks good, but the second you go for a wander, 10 foot or more, you start to get the image just shut down in the goggles. It doesn't actually break up, it just stops. It's working, it stops, it works, it stops. Something, though, is definitely fundamentally wrong with these goggles. So what we're going to have to do is tear them back down and see if we can figure out what it is. Now, just to demo it quickly, here I'm in the workshop. What I'm going to do is just put a bit of tape over the lens, because it's easier just to show the on-screen menu with the diagnostic data on as I'm doing this. Now, I literally walk probably 10 to 15 foot away, and there you can see that the signal has dropped. It was reconnected. It is dropped. And basically, anytime I get sort of 10, 15 foot away, it falls apart. I think I take it off now just to show you that I am outside. You should see the sky any second come up. There you go. Yeah, it's just failing continuously when I'm away from the transmitter. You can get about 10 foot max, but that's it. And it just constantly stops working. Okay, so to have a look around this board and try and see what might be going on, I've cleaned up some of the ICs and removed the thermal compound. I think what we'll do is have a wander around it first of all. So we will start with the UFLs. Yeah, that looks fine. That looks fine. That looks okay. Yeah, that's good. Let's go in a bit further. And what we'll start doing is checking that all of the components are in place that we expect to be. So you should have a sort of a capacitor there. A capacitor there going into that receiving amp. Yeah. Let's look at this one. That one's there. Going across. Bit of fluff there, but we can ignore that. Yeah, going into that one. Yeah, all looks fine. Going into the main power amplifier. That is the main PA, and I've checked it, and it appears to be outputting the correct amount. Check this one. Yeah, all of the components there look good. I think what we're just going to do is have a scout around. Let's just come out from the transceivers a little bit. Maybe go on the balls and have a look around there. That all looks fine. It's a bit of thermal compound still there from where I clean it. You can still see that down there. I'm going to clean it again in a minute. I'm not seeing any bridging. I'll be honest, from an RF point of view, everything on this board does look fine. I'm not seeing any issues specifically. Now, there is a possibility that this PA is faulty. It is powering. It's definitely outputting a high amount of RF. That I have confirmed. It could be one of the transceivers is bad. It could be a solder joint. The reality is at this point, it could be absolutely anything. What I think I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to finish cleaning this board up, get all the thermal compound off with APA, and then I'm going to give it a reflow. We're going to reflow those two ICs, we're going to reflow the PA, and we'll give it a test and see what that does, because it could just be as simple as a bad connection on one of the ICs. Now, after doing the reflow, I tested again and there was no change. It was performing exactly the same. So I decided to move on and try swapping over the power amplifier. Now, I'm lucky I've got quite a few spares for this because the VTX and the goggles basically use all the same components. So I was able to borrow transceivers and power amplifiers off the various number of broken and killed VTXs that I've got here. Okay, so having done the testing, no change. The new PA is working. That all looks good, but it is still not behaving as it should be. Now, I'm sort of left with only really one more place to go, and that is this IE2000, which is the RF mixer on the front end. Now, there are two on this. There are two for this side, and then there is one for this side, and then there is one for this side. Now, of the ones that's likely to be faulty, it's going to be this one, because this is the one that connects to the main PA, which does the two-way transmission. And if any of them is going to play up, it is going to be this one. Now, I can pull one of these off a donor board. It's not an issue. I have one here. Believe it or not, that is one there. It's covered in gunk, but that is actually one. So I think if we just give it a clean, here we go. Can we read it? Don't think we can read it, but it is one of them. I know it is because they use them on all sides. So I think about the only option we've got is to swap one of these over and give it a try. Okay, so the transceiver is swapped over. I've had a good look at it under the microscope, making sure all of the pads look correct. You may notice there's a cap there that looks slightly off to the side. It's fine. It's still on its pad. It's just rotated a little bit. I'm not going to worry about that a minute. I'll tidy that up later. What I want to do now is go and do some testing and see if there's any improvements. Okay, so since I've done that last bit of filming, a lot has changed. I've spent a lot of time messing around in this area because I had problems getting the PA back on and behaving. I've gone through about 2 PAs. One of them actually went up in flames. There's one here burnt with a burnt pad on the bottom of it. That one there, that one let go in the replacement. However, after a bit of time, I got this area working again and I got the goggles back to the same state they were in when I got them. And that really only left me one other choice, and that was having a look at this IE2000 chipset, because obviously you've got 2 RF front-end transceivers. You've got your antenna port and antenna port which go into the first one, your antenna port and antenna port that go into the second one. This one is receive only, so that is to a receive PA into that one, and then this one is one transmit through the big Skyworks amplifier and a receive on the 4th leg. Now, I was convinced the issue was over this side here. However, nothing I've done has resolved that. So I've rebuilt that side, all working as it should be, transmitting, everything looks good. So I decided to swap over this one. And interestingly, I did a very quick test just now and it seems to have worked. But what I now need to do is just tidy everything up. I've just taken the board back out to give it a clean before I put thermal compound on everything. We've got the main heatsink chip there. Everything's been cleaned up. So what I'm going to do is put thermal compound on and then we'll give it some tests. Now there you can see the board after it's all been cleaned up. Everything's back in place. To be honest, you wouldn't know I've been there. It's just a little bit of fluff there. Overall, everything that we've done on the board has come out clean and tidy. So what we're going to do is apply new thermal compound. I'm going to be using MX4 for this because that's what I've got laying around. I don't have any of the blue stuff that they use, but I do have MX4. Ooh, that's coming out a little bit faster than I was expecting. Just going to put some on the ICs there. I'll probably remove a chunk of that from over there because we've gone a little bit nuts. But that'll be fine. Don't worry. That'll be fine. I'm not going to lose any sleep over that. Okay, so what we will do is just clear that a little bit, I think. There we go. I cleaned that up and got most of the excess off and started again because that was a little bit too much. So we're going to refit our heat shield onto the top and then press it in. Now this just clips in place. We're just going to make sure though we get it in the right place so that we go and get it so it locks in. Here we go. Push that in all the way around. Give it a good press on the ICs. There we go. So what we then need to do is just put the plastic cover back on, which is over here, this one here. So this just screws back in place onto there like that, just like in the disassembly, like that. And then we will get the goggles back together and then see how things perform. So I'll be back once I've done all of this. Okay, so it is a few days later and the question you've probably got is, did I manage to fix them? And if you look in front of me, the answer to that is no. There are times where I thought I've got it. It seemed to test okay, but then in extended testing, the goggles failed again. I think I've replaced the power amplifier about 4 times, both transceivers 2 or 3 times. And there is something fundamentally wrong on the PCB of these goggles. I just cannot find it. It could be a passive failure. What I mean by that is a resistor, a capacitor somewhere. It could be a problem on the voltage rail. It could even be a PCB error. I simply don't know. Here and now, I've not been able to tie the issue down. So, in the end, I bought a lemon. I can't fix it. Here and now, they are a paperweight. What happens next? I don't know. I haven't decided. I don't know whether to part them out, so sell the OLED separately to try and recover the £180, part out the casing, part out everything on it. I don't know whether to keep trying, keep playing with that board. I'm definitely going to do that for a little bit of time at least. But there is a point where you have to say enough is enough. About the only thing I will say is they do make a spectator goggle. It's a rather expensive spectator goggle, but it does work as a spectator, so that is something. I may end up just keeping them around on the bench as a quick bench testing goggle, although at this moment in time, they have completely failed again. I need to go in and change that left-hand transceiver. What seems to happen is it'll behave, and then that transceiver will fail, and then I get no signal, and then I replace the transceiver, it behaves, and it actually looks like it's behaving perfectly, and that fails again. Does sort of hint at a voltage input issue, but without circuit diagrams and things like that, I've got nowhere to go. So, with regards to Hobby RC, I wasn't ripped off. They sold them as faulty damaged. They were clear that there's no returns or warranty. They sent them to me in very good time. From a customer service point of view, they did a good job. I can't complain. Now, that is it from me on this one. If you would like to support us to allow me to keep doing things like this, because I've wasted 180 quid, please do consider checking out the link to my Patreon as well as buy me a coffee. It is only through the support of my Patreons am I able to keep making content like this on the channel. And if you'd like to support us to allow us to keep doing things like this in the future, please do consider checking it out. I want to say a massive thank you to all of my Patreons. I would not be able to do this without your support. Anyways, I'm going to box these back up for a bit because they're doing my head in for a few days. Take it easy, stay safe. I will speak to you soon.